If you care about your health, you are going to want to watch this show. Stay tuned, everybody. It's the Your Little Castle Show. Welcome back, everybody, to Your Little Castle Show. I get excited with this particular topic because I've studied this a little bit. We made I don't know if I brought it up last show, but watch that first show. If you missed the first show, we got into some really cool discussion about where our medical world is, how you treat people, the way you get results versus continuing to keep people sick so that you continue to make money off them. Did I just say that out loud? Yeah. But I mean, literally, if you look at the systems in place and the things that are done, I'm probably going to have somebody get upset with me. I didn't name any names, but this just is the way it is. I studied back, and this is when I was working at Anheuser-Busch, so it had to be before 2008. The SENS project, Science for Engineered Nuclear Sentence. A computer nerd, Aubrey de Grey, came up with a solution where essentially, and we talked about something, like you confirmed what I'd learned. Telomeres are what provide the sustenance, the food for our chromosomes, and as you get older, they shorten. Yeah. And if you can get those to stick around, be longer for a longer period of time, look like little hairs that are on the ends of the chromosomes, then you can be more healthy. Your organs don't fail because the chromosomes obviously make up your whole body and your whole system, and we can all be more healthy. We're working on that. This is the stuff, and you guys help to regenerate and rejuvenate and make sure that people stay healthier longer with treatments that you guys offer that are very unique.
And the trade-off is you have to take care of yourself.
Yes.
That's how you manage the length of those telomeres and slow the degradation. We can't stop it, we can't add it, but we can slow it. And that's where it comes into looking at 360-degree health for patients, not just a single solitary problem.
Yes. So we have some experts. Medical doctor, Dr. Devin Bell, sitting next to me, and on the other end of the table there, Doug Bolden, FNP, which is, remind me of the acronym.
Family Nurse Practitioner.
Nurse Practitioner, which is some people argue the equivalent of a doctor from the perspective like you can prescribe, and is there similarities there?
I am his right arm.
Okay.
So that's the way I describe it. We work together, we collaborate. If I get into something that I have concerns about or in over my head, he is my resource and immediately available. So.
And you guys have a team that's been working together now for 10 years and 3 years now with DB2, which is, look at their first initials, right? There's 2 of them. Regenerative Clinic. Transforming lives, restoring hope, DB2 Regeneration.com, 636-265-2822. All right, guys, let's get into this a little more. What is the biggest mistake that the average American makes? Boy, there's a lot of them. When we're talking about within the health spectrum, what are the mistakes people make that they should avert?
Yeah, I think it is from a standpoint of not knowing all of the options that are out there.
Correct.
I think for us, getting what we do out there in front of patients and let them know that there's more than just medications and surgeries to help them feel better. When you've been told by if a lady's been told by her OBGYN that, if she's in her 30s and 40s and doesn't feel her best, it's just part of getting old, or you just have to deal with it. There's hormone intervention, there are peptide interventions that can really help patients out. So I think just the mistake of just stopping and listening to your traditional primary care OBGYNs, if they are not well versed in all options, alternative and traditional, for treating patients.
Yeah, I know that I've talked to a friend of mine, gal who's she's doesn't look that old, but she's in her 50s, I think, or so. I won't name her name. But she said, yeah, it's the hormones, man. Mm-hmm. As you get older, your body's, originally, we didn't live. You go back to like the 1850s, I think the average life expectancy was 52 or something like that, 59. And now we're going up to 80 and 90 years old. So the body is just having to deal with that. And how do the hormones? Tell me about hormones, how they play in this situation, and what is a peptide and how do they help people to stay healthy?
Yeah, like when we're looking at a holistic approach, when we're looking at the entire patient, we're thinking about inflammatory pathways. And as we age, our levels of hormones start to diminish. And of course, with women, when they go through menopause, the hormones fall off a cliff. And those hormones are not just vital for our energy and our mood. They're important for our brain health, our heart health, they are bone health. Hormones are in every different tissue in the body. And so when those hormones become deficient, we're not functioning at an optimized place. And so we feel sluggish. we just don't get good sleep at night. We start to gain weight, and not in a good way, or gaining fat, not muscle. We're actually losing muscle as we deteriorate. So I would argue that fragility is one of the biggest problems as we get over the age of 60, is we're losing our muscle mass and we're not able to move and be as active as what we want to be. So hormones are vital for maintaining that healthy body composition, maintaining healthy sleep. But the other thing that we always consider is, what is the lifestyle, right? So lifestyle plays a role, from your sleep to your diet to your exercise. That foundation is there, and when you're doing the right things and you get proper hormone optimization on board with the patient, they can live a much better quality of life. Because that's what we're looking at, lengthening telomeres. It's inflammation, it's health, it's letting patients live longer. But they're not just looking to live longer just for the sake of living longer. They want to live a good quality of life. They want to enjoy those years. They want to be able to play with kids and grandkids and do it and not worry about their body hurting or not being able to keep up with their family.
Yes, how often is it the case that we want to get a treatment and we don't know where to go, but you're saying, and then having experts that know what we're talking about here. Doug, a question for you though. You do work with individuals very much, primary. You've had some discussion about developing a platform to work with corporations, and just kind of conceptually?
Yeah, so it's in its infancy in our clinic practice, but our goal is to be able to offer the kinds of advantages that we currently offer to individuals, to groups as well. To be able to look at that full spectrum of their health, not just a singular focus on hypertension or diabetes, but look at everything together. We would love to be able to develop a plan or a platform where businesses could engage us to take care of their primary care for their employees. And of course, that's a function of not only the number of human beings that Dr. Bell and I have in our clinic practice to handle that, but it's also the ability to be able to articulate to business owners, we can save you money by being able to do this.
Yeah, better treatment and saving money for everybody. And as people become more healthy, bring costs down there obviously too, I think, right? Makes sense. What do you guys like most about the St. Louis area, the people that you service here? You're generally western St. Louis area, I guess. What do you like about those who you serve?
Well, our initial clinic, excuse me, was in Chesterfield, where Dr. Bell and I initially started working together. And we realized that St. Charles County was somewhat untapped, and we both live in St. Charles County. So it was just kind of a natural fit for us to want to work closer to home. But the St. Louis market is a really unique environment. You know, we have multiple medical schools. We have Logan University, which is also a great resource for chiropractic care.
Right.
But people are somewhat tuned in already. So it's not that we have an audience in St. Louis and St. Charles County who are devoid from any knowledge of regenerative medicine. And so we simply love the area that we live in. We want to take care of our neighbors, want to take care of our friends and their families. Yeah,
St. Louis has got such a vibrant community, and if you build a reputation out there, I've worked really hard as the Cardinal Cowboy to keep my name out there, but also in a positive way. And obviously the work you're doing here, and we talked about the first show, if you guys missed that, nothing but 5-star reviews from these guys. And so you obviously are reaching out in the community and doing good things that is making an impact. And having an influence on what we do here. Give me an example or two. I can't name names of clients, obviously. We had HIPAA rules apply to all that stuff. But an example of somebody who you knew was in a tough situation that was not being led down the correct path, and you stepped in and said, hey, we got an alternative here that'll be more effective and really help somebody.
Yeah, I think for myself, I've had numerous instances where patients present themselves and say, you know, I have no other option but to have a surgery, and I'm terrified. And the reality is that, yes, sometimes surgical interventions for joint replacements, cleanup jobs, or rehabilitation are necessary. But there are circumstances, and what comes to mind for me is a older gentleman who was convinced that he had to have 2 knees replaced. And when we evaluated the films, he was not at a stage of degeneration where it was appropriate and potentially could have placed him at undue risk. And we developed a plan for both of his knees that involved lubricant injections as well as platelet-rich plasma and including cellular therapies. But one of the newest things that we have started to do over the last 3 years is add peptides to our treatment protocols. And for those who aren't familiar, peptides are short chain amino acids that turn off and on certain processes in the human body. And they have an extensive history throughout the 70s, mostly in Russia. Russian scientists in the 70s were working on ways to improve military performance and athletic performances. And so that's where a root of many of these peptides came from. But they are naturally occurring substances that can help reduce inflammation in the body and change the way that the body functions more efficiently. So we realized that adding those peptides to treatment protocols changed our outcomes and improved our outcomes. And that's probably one of the most important things that we've done in the last 3 years to our treatment protocols.
Yeah, obviously, when you can improve somebody's life, inflammation. I heard you guys both mention inflammation. Yeah. Is the root cause or the root issue with its inflammation that we have? It's usually behind what's causing the problems that people have. Inflammation is at the core of what's.
I'll let him answer it, but I'll add in at the end.
Yeah, I really think the inflammation is not always a bad thing. There's chronic inflammation and non-healing inflammation that we worry about, and that's often from environment. There's genetics, there's hormones that can play a role. So that non-healing inflammation is what we really get concerned about when tissue is being negatively affected. Now, if you have an injury and you have acute inflammation and you have healing, inflammation is a very healthy thing. Right. It's that chronic non-healing inflammation that we worry the most about. Certainly our diet and lifestyle play a very big role in that, and there's things that we can do from hormones, peptides, lifestyle improvements that can really reduce the overall systemic inflammation. People just feel better when their inflammation is under good control.
Yeah, and it seems like whenever you've bumped your hand, you got a little cut, and it becomes inflamed. But that's normal treatment. White blood cells, et cetera, are going in there to treat things, right?
Yep.
Am I guessing right there? But you don't want that continued inflammation, and that's where you say there's a bigger problem here. But you can see, talk about the history these guys have with regard to understanding where all this came from. Pretty powerful stuff. Do you have an example of somebody you would like to share with us a little bit?
I'll take another approach to this too, talking about hormones and peptides. I see so many women in my clinic between the age of 35 and 55. So I have these ladies come into my office and they are just frustrated. Nobody's helping them. Their OB's not helping, their primary side. They are ran down. They have no energy whatsoever. They just don't feel themselves. So I take that patient, I check lab work, I see what's going on, and we intervene on it. And it's amazing every day, women that will come into my office almost in tears just with how different they feel. And it's because someone finally sat down, listened to them, was able to investigate and actually treat what was going on and not just brush it off, not gaslight them and just say, this is part of getting older and this is just part of being a mom now, or it's just because you're stressed. They'll give you an SSRI or they'll give you birth control to help you out, which none of that stuff makes them feel better. So we, those type of stories that I see ladies every single day coming back, feeling validated in what they've been experiencing and actually getting better. That's one of the biggest things that keeps me going every day.
Yeah, it's got to make you feel great when you see somebody that had struggled for so long and big issues that were causing lots of discomfort and just really disabilitating to their life, and just making them uncomfortable all the time. And that's not the way to live your life. But
right,
we can make sure we've got experts here that talk about that. DB2 Regeneration Clinic, everybody, transforming lives, restoring hope. We're going to go back out to some of our fun in the community. If some of you follow the Cardinal Cowboy. My mom was on the Today program with John Goodman recently. So we'll talk about that, and we'll be back here in just a couple minutes. Stay tuned, everybody. You're watching the Your Little Castle Show.
Guys, he's amazing.
You were driving around town and you went past your old high school and thought about stopping in, but said, there's nobody here left that I know. But in fact, your high school drama teacher, Judy Rethwish, is still there.
Yeah.
And she left a little message for you.
Hello, John. This is Judy Rethwish from the Afton School District. And I just wanted to say that you've made some wonderful contributions to our district. And we're so proud of you and all the things you have done. I'm particularly proud, and I remember when you had the lead in Hello Dolly, and we got a standing ovation for that show, and I saw the light in your eyes, and I knew that's what you were going to do the rest of your life.
Wow.
Special.
That's got to be special.
Yeah, yeah.
She saw it in you.
She had to fight to get me into a couple of productions because I was on the D list.
Well, you're on the A list now.
Well, let's not go nuts.
100 acting credits. I think you're on that. You made it.
Really?
Yes.
Yep. Counted them up.
Break them down.
Could you list them all for us? No kidding. John, thank you so much.
Oh, thank
You're going to be sticking around. You're going to help us out with some trivia, right?
Yep.
Some Springfield trivia is coming up in just a sec. Then later, since we are in the birthplace of Route 66, we are going to have our own classic car show.
His name is Carter Rethwich, but in St. Louis, he's known as the Cardinal Cowboy. He's a well-known fixture in the stands at sporting events in the Gateway City. He's one of its greatest cheerleaders, a super fan like no other. When he makes his rounds at almost every home game, he shares his love for sports with the rest of fandom with a smile, a cheer, some positive encouragement, and lots of selfies and pics. But the Cardinal Cowboy was born of a tragic incident. Rethwich was an aspiring athlete in high school and college. He dreamed of playing in the big leagues, but those dreams ended when he and 3 of his college friends were hit with a devastating crash by a 5-time drunk driver. One of his best friends died. Carter suffered a critical head injury. The trauma put him in a coma for 6 days. The doctors said he was never expected to function again. Those expectations never came true. He fought back and finished college. He was determined to prove the doctors wrong. Among other inspirations, it was his love of baseball that kept him going. And from his near-death experience, the Cardinal Cowboy emerged. His goal in life became to inspire others with positivity despite the odds, to help people believe in themselves and achieve their dreams.
So after my coma, I realized that it was up to me if I was going to accomplish my goals, if I was going to reach my dreams. Despite what the naysayers would say, the people that were discouraging me, like they do everyone, it's up to me if I'm going to make it. Don't listen to the naysayers. It's up to you. You decide whether you're going to succeed, whether you're going to reach your goals. Dream, and then always, always chase your dreams. Never give up. Giddy up. By now, we are on ABC 5 times a week. So many businesses are loving what we're doing to help them get their name out there. We'll sit right here in our guest chair, right here, sitting here talking to us. We're going to put on the wall your website and everything about you and highlight you as a leader. Fill out the form you see here on our website. It's bigleagues.com. And if you go to bigleagues.com, fill out this form. Takes just a couple seconds, and you can even schedule yourself right here. Schedule yourself to be on the show, and there's no charge for us to record you. There's no charge to be in the studio. Check it out if you would like to be on. Fill out the form again, bigleagues.com. This is where we can turn any interview into a series of clips. Professional video on your website closes more sales by instantly building trust, clearly explaining complex products and keeping visitors engaged longer, reducing bounce rate by 34%. It'll help you to gain that credibility, increase engagement, simplify complex tasks, lower your sales friction, and boost your rankings on the search engine. So this is all kind of a no-brainer. See how we've now had over 500 interviews and now almost 250 different business owners. Go to bigleagues.com. That's bigleagues.com. Go to bigleagues.com and get signed up. You can schedule right from there.
So there it is, and I'm a techie nerd. I enjoy talking about technology, but pick up our book here, yours truly, Magnetized Media. I talked to Willie yesterday, but he and Steve Kidd wrote this book. Cardinal Cowboy, I wrote the forward here. They said, who knows more about getting your name out there through the social media interwebs? I put my picture in here, but they said, Carter, you essentially wrote not the introduction, but the first chapter. But how has technology changed the way we do things? Now we build studios and get cameras, and we all have a smartphone somewhere sitting around that we can record with. And I'll talk to you about all the tactics there that work. But tell me, have you guys seen the industry's change in the 10, 15, 20 years you guys have been doing this, and how technology has impacted the way you do your business now, even with going down to like how you treat people with different technologies?
I would say the biggest part is we've done presentations in groups, and you can only reach a very small amount of people when you're in room with those patients. Now, if we can do that same presentation online and get it out through social media, from Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, you can reach so many more people. So that's the simplest way that we've seen how we've evolved in trying to get in front of more patients. Certainly improving that word of mouth, which is still the probably the best way of marketing for us at our point, but the media access to it has been incredible. And the other part is how AI is improving the access to data that's out there. It's not always the best access. It's not always the most accurate information. You've got to be very careful. You still have to investigate. But you can get access to so much more data, and it can be analyzed in such a quicker rate. And there are legitimate sources out there to help us, because we can't know every study. We can't know all of the breakdown of every study that's out there. So AI is definitely helping us to be more efficient in what we're doing, and to be able to give answers more quickly, and to stay in the front lines of actually treating patients.
Doug, what have you seen? Technology.
I think the ability to reach bigger volumes of people without having to focus on mailers. We had done mailers in the past, and man, you spend the money to mail out 15,000 pieces and you get 6 responses back. You know that either your zip codes were bad or you sent a lot to empty mailboxes.
Right.
And so what digital media has helped us with is to target being able to reach certain consumers. People who are interested in hearing about the services that we offer can find them easier. But there's a lot of patience that you have to have in that process. When you start a business and you put up your first website, people don't just magically find you. There has to be a process where they start to build, and you have to interact with that platform to enhance it so that it draws even more people in. So there's a lot of patience to that whole process.
Yeah, well, it's like anything in life: consistency, persistence. Yep. Putting the word out there. They talk about it. If you have a good, solid message, integral, honest, help people first, sell to them later. And actually, when you're helping them, the selling kind of takes care of itself. But that's a great process here, and that's what we want to help offer to businesses to get their word out, because they're doing great work, but they don't have $40 million budgets. And so we've put together a cool little system here that I think does help get the word out. What are some of the mistakes that you see some of the other people in your realm, I don't say your space is specific, but even broader than that are made? And we talked about that a little bit, but kind of give me a summary for those mistakes that you see that are made that you don't like to see your clients make.
I think that there is a definitive trust issue in healthcare today. And the vast majority of patients that come to see us relate to us that they either have mistrust in the relationship they have as a primary care, or even mistrust with the folks that they engage in on the internet. And there are lots of people out there selling weight loss medications via online, and they're easy to access and they're cheap. But the biggest mistake that I see people making is they come into us months after they've been engaged with some sort of an entity like that, and they have umpteen questions that have never been answered by their internet person, or they've been started on the initial starting doses of medications for weight loss, but then never escalated. Well, the reality is, Carter, if you start on the starting doses, you're not going to have as much quality weight loss as if it's paid attention to and the doses are escalated. And that's where a lot of people get confused. They think that they're on the right dose because they're got it from the internet, but the reality is when we break the bad news to them that they're not even halfway up the dosage scale, they get disillusioned very quickly. So I would encourage people, you have to have some trust. Talk to a human being face to face, and that is what we are all about.
Very true, yes. And are you talking, I've heard the word GLP-1.
Yes.
Is that something that you guys
Yes.
help people with? And
So there are GLP-1s and GIPs. They are weight loss medications. They were both developed for diabetes, and there's a host of other medicines that are going to be out in probably the next 6 months, as well as oral formulations coming out too. So that is the medications that we're talking about.
Yes, and so and the dosages that are necessary there, and to stick with it. And some of the
Yeah.
things what are some of the symptoms or side effects that come from GLPs and those kinds of things? Is there anything?
Yeah, I would say in that world of GLPs, they are a peptide, so they're bioactive and they work on certain pathways in the body. Some of those pathways can help suppress our appetite and help us get full faster. When the dosing is not correct or the management is poor, sometimes you get too much appetite suppression. Sometimes you get too much GI effect, which can be things like nauseousness, even throwing up at times, and slowing of the bowels like constipation. So you have to manage the dose correctly. That's what Doug's alluding to, is that relationship and adjusting the dose when appropriate with patients. But I will say we see so much good effect with GLP peptides with patients, and a lot of it is because of our management that's out there. Yeah. However, if you go online, you're going to hear a lot of not so good information around GLPs, and there's a lot of patients that are very fearful of them because of the bad stories and scenarios that they hear. And I think when you're working with a good provider, you just don't see those same kind of bad GI side effects and muscle loss and hair loss and things like that. We rarely see that in our clinic, thankfully.
Okay, good. Well, yeah, again, go to the experts and know that you can get this. Don't buy that stuff online with a quick. We've seen those Facebook ads pop up saying, "Oh, get your weight loss, whatever it is. We're better than the whatever," and got to watch out for that. Tell me the process then. And when somebody wants to start with you guys, pretty simple. Go to the website. I'll put this up on the wall for everybody to take a look at. But they get started with you here, and click the book appointment. As easy as that, and then select. There you go. Pick a there's Doug's, and oh wow, you've got a long list of options here for people, and they can really obviously just literally pick a time that you're available and show up on your schedule and start the process. Where does it go from there?
Yeah, we start with a new patient appointment. Yeah, we sit down, we build that relationship, and you can do that online. You can obviously call the office too. You can always talk to a person. We've got people that are always manning the phones to be able to help schedule it and make sure that you're the right patient and we're the right provider for you. And we sit down, we take that hour, we do that new patient appointment, and we discuss the history. It's really, I call it like a fact gathering, but it's getting to know each other. Yeah. Them building trust in us, us building trust in them and learning who they are and what their needs are. And it's amazing over that hour where you see people's barriers, because they're so used to traditional medicine where they're like, I've got to get as many things out as quickly as possible, and I've got to throw this out there so I can get everything that I need to talk about. They calm down, they sit back, they relax, and then they can truly open up and really tell you what's going on. And you can really peel those onion layers back to know what's going on and then how you can help them the best.
Seems like a simple process, but it's a matter of they got to get that initial meet with you guys, sit down and talk about it, and go through the steps. What's the biggest question that people have before we got about a minute left here? But what's the biggest question people have before they get started? Is it always cost, or is it how long treatment will take, or what?
Say usually people are wondering about what the cost is, what their upfront costs are going to be, and then what their overall long-term costs will be. We go through all that. We're very transparent, so we want to make sure that we let them know before they get started what they're gonna owe, and there's not going to be any hidden bills. It's not insurance. There's not going to be any odd 3 months later some random visit get billed to them that they don't even know that they saw someone. So we take care of all that ahead of time, and make it very transparent.
There you have it, everybody. Experts in our community really helping to make a difference. If you're concerned with your health, which you should be, gosh, I think about my dad. If he'd have paid better close attention to his health, but hey, man, take care of that now while you still have time. You're watching the Your Little Castle Show. Giddy up.